So today we have a small program by which we are going to follow through this conversation. Our agenda is, first of all, look at your soul records. After that, we are going to answer some of your questions regarding the story. And after that, we will gonna be able to look at your pictures regarding karmic relations. And after that, if we will have some time and we will be able to answer some of the additional questions if there's going to be some. Is there something you would like to state about today or this conversation before we begin? Okay, so we are going to begin with 5 seconds of meditation, inner concentration exercise, by which we are going to concentrate on our inside, and we are going to create inner intention that we are willing to open your soul records. And after that, when you are finished concentrating, please state that you are willing to open your soul records by making statement, please open my soul records. Your soul is something you would like to refer or call as an old soul. Usually this term means that the soul had many existential cycles, meaning that this universe in which your soul inhabits is not the first universe it has inhabited from before. There have been other universes where it has been inhabiting, but apparently it was a very long time ago, like billions of years ago, so we don't have much reference for that. What we do have reference for is the times when you came to this universe. But even that have happened billions of years ago. It appears that your soul was somewhat like a traveler, something like an adventurer, and it liked the idea of going into different kinds of universes and circumstances. The thrill about the journey was to try and find yourself in new and different and challenging circumstances, and always try something new. That was the idea about the journey. So when you came to this universe, it was again something new for your soul. The idea was to try this universe and see how it works in comparison to different universes that you have been inhabiting from before. So when you came here, it was based on different geometry, therefore a new interesting experience, and you had to go through some adjustment period, which was about trying to understand the geometry of this universe and trying to adjust yourself and trying to understand how life works here. After the adjustment period have been completed, it took a few million years. After that, you decided you are ready for beginning of incarnations, because before it seems to be only in the spiritual realm, mostly non-physical, so you didn't have any associations with physicality or certain races and something similar. But after the adjustment period, you started to incarnate, so you decided you want to try all kinds of different forms. The story is extremely varied. There is a lot of variable races, from insects to lizards, dragons, animals, all sort of living entities. Not all of them are the way we see them here on the planet Earth. Most of them could be some variations, like for example giant insects or dragons, which are something else what we would like to call dragons. There is just too much variation, but that was the whole idea, to have lots of different variations and therefore lots of different kind of experiences. So for a few millions of years, well, not few, quite a lot of millions of years, we were just basically exploring all kinds of different forms, and eventually life became boring. The boredom came from the fact that you felt like you have explored most of the possible forms and there have not been many left. So you had two choices. Either you had to move on to some kind of different universe with new types of forms because of the different geometry it is based on, or you had to try something new and extreme. And you chose the new and extreme because you felt like you haven't been finished with this universe just yet. So the extreme that you chose was to come to this galaxy. It is the Milky Way galaxy. In the beginning, actually, you chose to come to this galaxy quadrant, more likely, meaning triangulation of galaxies, that is Andromeda, triangular galaxy, and a Milky Way galaxy. This triangulation of galaxies is something usually soul goes through because, well, it's like a conglomeration of galaxies, so just a neighboring galaxy, so it's natural for the soul to go through all of these galaxies. But your goal was to go into something new and extreme. That meaning at this point the experience of duality, which is being experienced in the Milky Way galaxy. So you actually have visited the triangular galaxy and then went through Andromeda Council to be allowed to come to Milky Way galaxy, and then you came here. It happened something around more or less 1 million years ago, and the life was just began to form in here, and the new civilizations have been developed. Mostly there have been a lot of life in the Orion constellation, and we decided to try to incarnate there. We have felt a lot of thrill about the idea of certain energies of pressure. The pressure meaning that in the Orion constellation there have been certain energies, totalitarian energies, a lot of military totalitarian dictatorship has been rising in that constellation, and for you it seemed like an extreme experience to be able to participate in this kind of experience. So you decided to go there. What happened there is that you really have went through all the adverse experience, that meaning not so kind experience, because entities in there have been under military dictatorship. Everybody have been implanted microchips. They have been systematically observed and controlled. and completely under surveillance and constant monitoring and total submission would be the correct way to state. But for you, it seemed like a very interesting experience, and you even went the route of becoming some kind of like a cyborg, then half human, half cyborg. It seemed a very thrilling experience. So for some time you have been playing with this kind of life form because it was something new also. But later on it became boring again, so you decided to look for something new, and you found the solar system, meaning our solar system. In here you came to the planet, the big planet which was here before. There are many names for that planet. One of the names is, for example, Tiamat, but we can call it just the Big Earth. You came to this planet a few 100,000 years ago. The dominant race which have been inhabiting that planet have been half humans, half apes, and you have incarnated into that race. The race itself been a little bit of interest to you, but not too much. The form was not too interesting, and for some time you have been living there. The idea of living there was based on the fact that it has been known for some time that that planet, the Big Earth, was destined to be destroyed. And that seemed like a thrilling idea for you, to be in a planet which is going to be destroyed. So you have stayed there until the destruction. The planet eventually have been destroyed, from which we have this so-called asteroid belt now in our solar system. The planet was in between Mars and Jupiter before. So after the planet was destroyed, you came to our planet Earth, which was a neighboring planet. And in this planet, you caught a new thrilling idea. The idea of reincarnation cycles and the veil of forgetfulness. Those ideas have also been declared that we are planned to be implemented on this planet, and you decided that it's going to be really exciting to forget about yourself and live with blank mind without memories of who you are. And later on, after some thousands of years, more likely 12,000 or 13,000 years, suddenly to rediscover yourself and to remember who you are and where you came from and what you are doing here. That idea was very exciting, so you decided to go for it. The first civilization you have been living here was Atlantis, and it has been a couple of tens of thousands of years, or mostly more like 20,000 years ago, and you have been living in the Atlantis civilization in the Atlantic Ocean, but circa around 12,500 years ago, that continent was destroyed and sunk down, and you moved into, apparently it was something in Africa, in North Africa. It appears at that moment there was also a thriving civilization in the Sahara Desert, something that we would be able to call a Solomon Kingdom, King Solomon Kingdom. So you have been living there, and that civilization have also been destroyed. So it was an interesting experience for you too, somewhat to get thrills from those kind of experiences. Later on, a few lifetimes in Egypt, in ancient Egypt. After that, we are already something in around year 0, and you move to living in Rome. It appears that on Earth you usually have been using a male form. Many of the lives have been in some kind of warrior state, like being a warrior or guardian or some sort of military discipline. The Roman Empire have been very strong, so you have participated in many battles, combats, all kinds of military expansion campaigns of Roman Empire. For some time you have moved to Middle East. It was also based on the Roman expansion, but you kind of liked that civilization and decided to spend some time there. Actually, what you liked about that civilization, that it had a lot of some kind of spirituality what you have discovered. So you decided to spend some time in Persian kingdom and to learn some of their spiritual disciplines. For those lifetimes you chose a female form, which fitted your idea of learning spirituality instead of combat arts, military arts. So for some time you have been studying there. After that you moved to Greece, have been living in Hellas Islands. It appears there have been more feminine energies there, lots of working in some kind of temples, something like priestess, divine feminine priestess or something like that. It was the way for you to rediscover your divine feminine, which was somewhat dormant or forgotten at that point because of too many lifetimes in male form. After that, you began to balance your male and female energy, and then it appears that you have chosen a new path because you decided that you wanted to become something like a healer or something like that. So you decided to study medicine. So for a few lifetimes you have been studying medicine, and it was all about healing and whatever kind of apothecary practices we have been practicing in those times, meaning few hundred years after the year 0 up until the year 1000, I guess. The action usually was in the around somewhere Rome, France, maybe some other neighboring countries, but usually in that region. It appears that France was mostly lived during the Middle Ages. There have been some journeys for some reason to the more Eastern Europe regions like Romania or Bulgaria. It appears you have been learning some kind of sorcery arts or something of that sort, but only a few lives. Mostly it appears it's France. Apparently France was the main influence in the past lives, maybe a few lives in Germany too. There might have been a few more which is not being seen now, but for this life regarding Belgium, it appears that it's some somewhat an extension from France. It seemed like by your lives you were supposed to be living in France even more, yet it appears that you kind of felt, for the lack of a better word, fed up with the France, and you wanted something new. Therefore, Belgium seemed for you like something different, yet something of the same. It was your idea, some kind of that. So in this life, you kind of grown up for the idea of spiritual awakening, and now you are planning to have the thrill of your life, is to remember your past and based on that understand your future. So it appears that the way you have planned your life, it seems like you have been planning this awakening for quite some time, for this lifetime. It seems like you're gonna have a full awakening in this lifetime. You will remember all of your past lives, and you will understand what awaits you in the future. And the future for you seems to be quite exciting, because this experience that you have went through on this planet, it is somewhat unique, because not many souls are privileged to have this kind of experience, and yet you have been, and you have certain ideas, some, let's put it this way, strange ideas. The ideas being based on the fact that you are willing to try and help other souls to understand this experience you have been going through. But the word understand is based on the meaning that you want them to understand, but not to go into this kind of deep experience of this experience what you have been going through. So it doesn't seem very clear at this moment how are you planning, but there's going to be some kind of program or some kind of methodic or something how you're going to try to give your experience to other souls which are going to try and re-experience what you have went through. It's something similar to memory copying, or it's a bit advanced experience, not for these times to understand for us. But besides that, it appears that you are planning a few more lifetimes on this planet. This not being your last lifetime, you're planning at least 2 more lifetimes on the planet Earth, and you are planning on using, mostly it appears it's going to be based on technology. You are going to give some kind of technological way to transfer your experience to other people so that they could re-experience your experiences. And that's going to be very thrilling. But that's more like in the next lifetime. In this lifetime, your soul is mostly oriented about rediscovering itself and preparing for the future lifetimes. So this lifetime is mostly about the awakening and returning to your inner core, and then on the next lifetimes using the technology to help other souls to experience your experiences. So you're going to do that for a few lifetimes, and then you're going to do the same in some kind of, let's just say, interplanetary or interstellar or maybe even intergalactic system where you're going to share your experiences. Because your soul has a lot of experiences and there is a lot to share. So therefore you are planning on sharing it. So that's the plan for the next, at least it appears, couple of thousand years in the future. The plan for that. And later on it appears that most of the experiences are going to be kind of empty and there's not going to be more to experience for you here. So seems like you are planning on moving on. Maybe make a few more stops on some other short time experiences, other galaxies, but it appears that you are going to be very oriented to move to some kind of other universe, and then there's going to be some new adventures awaiting for you there. It appears those are the main energies we have been able to determine at this time. So maybe you have some questions or comments you would like to make regarding this story. Well, if the questions you would like to ask kind of directly refers to the story, you could ask them now, but if those are more like general questions, some kind of, so you should leave them for a bit later on. Roman military? It's to understand your family's military educational programs or whatever. We should see the souls which are involved at this point. If it's your father who's instructing those kind of routines, so we should see his picture, and then we can see whether it's related or not, or it's just a coincidence. So that's how it works. You meant you were bored. Well, for your soul, you have to understand that the change is something that you need. You can't just go on some routine and think that you are going to be satisfied with that routine. You need a change. The change is something which is natural for your soul. But for few of your past lives, you have been kind of stuck in some boring routines. Well, maybe it's something you needed or felt you needed for those times, but at this moment we should state that it didn't work out for you too well, and the change is for you a constant. That meaning that you needed always a change, and whenever you get bored you should change something, and that should work out for you, because that's just how your soul works. Well, that's about a right time to make those questions regarding the meaning of life, because that's the whole point of this life, to raise those questions and then find the answers. That's the whole point of this lifetime of yours. Well, those questions are not going to go away by themselves. They have to be answered. You have to find the answers. Otherwise, we are going to bother you until they are not answered satisfactorily. So maybe we should move on to the pictures. So in the first picture, we see Mother by the mountains. It appears you have a past life connection. Past life connection being that you actually have been sisters in France, and apparently you have been, well, let's just put it this way, you have not been enemies, but she was your older sister, and she was in a position like she always thought that, let's just say, she would like to advise you on life, and how you should live your life. It seemed for her back in that lifetime that she wants to advise you all the time on how you should live your life. And you have been a little bit a rebellious soul and didn't want to listen to your older sister. So after some time your relationship kind of broke off. It appears it was in the last lifetime. It was something in the 60s, 1960s. And it was somewhere in France, somewhere in southern France, apparently. So that lifetime, your friendship didn't went out all that well, and you kind of decided that you should try again. But in this lifetime, your big sister decided that she wants a more controlling position over you. So she moved to your position regarding you as a mother. She had an idea that she is going to have more control over you. Yet your rebellious soul, well, it's not so easy to influence and, let's just say, guide your soul. So it appears that you have a mind of your own about how to live your life, and that might bring some headaches for your mother, but well, that's just how it goes, and that's an experience that you both need. That you should be the unique the way you are. That's your unique vibrational frequency, your uniqueness of your character, and your mother should learn to understand that there is nothing wrong with you being so unique and expressive, and she should maybe learn a few tricks from you about being unique. So that was the whole idea about you being together again. Next question is your sister in the pink sweater. So this sister is also a karmic relation. With this sister, she was a younger sister to you back in the past life, but it was not the former life, it was a few lifetimes ago, it appears. And the sister had some ideas that she felt very, so the word for that is overly confident about her experience, even though she didn't actually had that, let's just say, experience what she was so confident about. Well, the point being that you had a kinda strong argument that she wanted to prove to you how she is better or whatever than you, and after some time, because of some uncoordinated actions, she somehow damaged herself. She made some kind of stupid, wrongful, uncareful move, and she some kind of damaged her body. It was some kind of injury, and for some reason she blamed you for that, because apparently she was trying to prove something to you, even though you never asked for any of that proof. But she some kind of always saw you as a competition. She wanted to compete with you, and for that reason she somehow injured herself. But after that she blamed you for that, even though you had nothing to do with it. The point being that in this lifetime, that grudge from the before is carrying over, and she's still not happy about the way the past life have went. And in this life, I'm not exactly sure how you are relating to each other. Are you friendly or not? but let's just hope that it works out well, because well, if not, some cloudy energies are still present, and if you're not going to work it out nicely between you two, some strong conflict may arise. And if you're not going to be in a balance at that moment when the conflict will arise, then that might be rough. If not, you might just move it all out. You have a good relations now. Moving on, another sister with a cocktail. This sister, well, that's a little bit different, but also karmic relations. The sister actually have been a boyfriend of yours. You have been paired. And well, the sister, well, meaning in that lifetime it was a boyfriend, it was kind of jealous and also a bit maybe controlling or something, and always wanted to watch out for you. And well, after some time, your relationship maybe didn't work out so well, even though it was a long-lived relationship for a few decades, I guess. And she wanted, like a boyfriend, he wanted to be with you again, but you kind of said, no, it's enough is enough, and you don't want to be together again. And yet, that boyfriend decided he's going to be with you together no matter the cost. So the only way she was able to organize to be with you was by being your sister. Even though the circumstances what led to that was not so convenient, despite that, here you are. So I hope that she's happy now, being able to be with you. The next one is another sister with glasses and a small plant. With the sister, there seems to be no relation, or at least we are not able to identify one. So it's something different, something not related to you, just probably a coincidence based on appearance or the sister's relation to other people in your family, but we cannot identify anything about you concretely. Next picture is a close friend from childhood. This friend is actually a long-time friend. It appears that you have been friends for many lifetimes. You have been soldiers in the Roman legion, and you have been like both to each other like a sidekicks, like partners, like brothers in arms, or for the lack of a better term. So you have been going through a lot of things together, and then your soul decided to go into spirituality, to live in Persia. It appears this soul, your friend's soul, was not able to cope with your progress, and your paths have separated for some time. But apparently now you have kind of equalized your vibrational frequencies, and now you are able to understand each other more, and you decided to meet again. So therefore you are meeting again. She have been on her path, you have been on yours, but now the paths are crossing again, and you are able to complement each other, to complete each other, to fulfill each other, and help each other. If this friend of yours haven't been female at this lifetime, you could have been like a pair, in a relationship, like a man and a woman, but she decided to choose a female form because it appears that it was more convenient. You didn't want this kind of relationship, but if not, that could have been potentially, but now it's how it is. It appears that you are going to go together for a long time ahead in the future more. So that's for the pictures. Is there more comments or statements you would like to make? Do you have the picture now? We can try. It's without the person's consent. The energies are limited, yet they are still there. Okay, so now this is your father and mother by the lake, and your father is with the orange t-shirt. Okay, so first of all, father and mother, they have some kind of strong relations between them. They are connected. But regarding the father, yes, the father was actually in the Roman legion. He was your commander, your superior, and actually you go way back more, because he was of a reptilian origin, and then you were living in the Orion constellation, the dictatorial militaristic planet. He was also some kind of ruler or something, and he was in those planets there have been something like, well, we don't have the correct term for that, but some kind of person who's responsible for a district, and he's responsible, but in that district all the people should act the way the government wants them to act, and he's directly responsible for you, and you somewhat a rebel, and you always had a problem with you. So he kind of persecuted you after that, during that life and after that, and in the Roman Empire he also chose you because he wanted to kind of torture you, because kind of he doesn't like you very much, and he kind of get some kind of kick out of the idea if he is going to pressure you, and but that pressuring doesn't come from that let's just say fatherly and caring intention, but from pure torture. He just wants to torture you, even though he probably doesn't remember now why he does that, but he has those kind of intentions. Well, no wonder he is not willing to open up these energies and express them openly, so we would know that, but that's the way we see things, despite it makes it comfortable for you or not, but the way, that's how we see it. So is there any more questions or something you would like to discuss? So there's a big question here, but we would like to clarify, or what you could clarify the question again. Can you try and to restate the question again? Okay. The guilt that you are feeling in your life is because you have an idea that in your former lives you have made a lot of mistakes, and the mistakes were mostly because you have been a soldier, you have been following orders, and because of those orders you have made a lot of things that you are not proud of. So therefore you threw out the warrior's way and went for the spirituality, and later on for the medicine, because you wanted to correct the way. But at this lifetime, this energy could have been much lesser, but the fact that your direct superior, meaning your father, is around you, he is bringing those energies from those past lives, because he is some kind of having subconscious influence for you, because he wants you in that strange position, very controversial position, where he is directing you to do something, and that action moves you into some territories which are not always very clear and good intentioned. And then he wants you in that position because he has the idea that he can torture you by this way, because then he says, go and do this thing, and you go and do it by only following the order, and then he says to you like, why did you do that? That's a bad thing you did. And you are saying like, I just follow the orders. Yeah, but despite that, it's a bad thing you did. And that feeling created a very strong torture in you. That was his idea about torturing you. So some of those energies are coming from that side, but some of that you really felt, that you did a lot of bad things. Well, this lifetime, it's about an awakening, and the awakening from all those things that you did, or maybe didn't do, but you think you did. Despite that, it's time to let go of those things. That's some of the things that you will gonna have to let go, because you need to go through some strong transformation. You have to recognize all those things that you think you did wrong, and to let go of that. That's a part of your life lessons for this life. Last question, very last one. Well, these things that you are calling, or your friend is calling clumsy, by losing or breaking things, is actually the energy comes from karmic debt. It is that you have to be a little bit clumsy, because sometimes in your past lives you took things from people which not actually belong to you, and it was without their consent that you took them, but usually it came from, it was a lot of different variations. How did that happen? But for that time you felt like, you had the right to do that. Usually if, for example, you are a soldier and you are invading some country, and you have like a treasure or something that you take from your journeys, or whatever you call it. So some of those energies are coming from there, but also it is some clumsiness that you could avoid some of those losses, or at least minimize them if you paid more attention to the things you do. And the word paid is the key word here, meaning that if you paid attention, then you wouldn't have to pay for the things because you paid it already with attention. Anything else? Any more last questions? Okay. I think it's enough for this conversation, because there's always a possibility to have another conversation. And during this conversation we have opened a lot of energies, a lot of ideas for you have came, a lot of feelings, and something for you to meditate on. So if you practice some kind of meditative practices or spiritual practices, you can do them and remember this conversation, the thoughts, the feelings, sensations you had during the conversation, and by this extend the conversation, move deeper into the conversation, understand more, and maybe have some new ideas, or even maybe remember your past lives during those practices. If you are successful at dreaming, you can also extend those energies during the dream time, that is going to sleep by remembering this conversation, and if those energies go to sleep, and then during the night you will explore them more deeply, subconsciously, and then in the morning you will remember those extensions or the past lives as your dreams. So you can proceed with that, and I guess that's it for this conversation. We have made a recording of this conversation. It's going to appear in our YouTube channel approximately under 1 month, in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, something like that, I guess. Well, we will see, but it's gonna be under the month. So then the conversation will appear, you will be able to re-listen to it again, and by re-listening you will be able to recall the energies again, because in that meantime some of the memories will fade, but you will gonna be able to revoke them again by re-listening to the conversation. And after you will listen to the conversation, if you will have more questions or will be willing to explore more of your energies, we will be able to make another meeting and have another one and extend on that what we had already. So we would like to thank you for this ability to communicate with you this time. It was a pleasurable time with you, madam. So we thank you, and we would like to kindly remind you that if the conversation was useful for you and you would like to express your gratitude, you can do this by following the instructions in our website. There are all the links for you to follow. Okay, so thank you for the conversation, and we would like to wish you all the best.